Looking back into the days of the Old Testament, we're always told about the wrathful nature of God. Interestingly, there have been times when God has used his angels to slam his hammer on his dissident creations. Such an event occurred in the fabled Book of Enoch, where God was forced to intervene when his angels disobeyed his instructions, an act that brought the world to the brink of destruction. In order to intervene, God saw fit to send his archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael to earth in order to restore balance to the world. In today's video, we shall take a look at how these archangels implemented God's wrath against those who disobeyed his laws, albeit through some questionable means, while also trying to revive the state of the human race and the entire planet as a whole in what might be perceived as the first apocalyptic event that ever occurred in human history. Well, at least in the Judeo-Christian context. Let's look at the most evil punishment of the archangels of God. When going through the texts of the Book of Enoch, there is no better place to begin than with the story of creation. Indeed, while some of the other chapters cover elements like astronomy and the prophecy of the Messiah, i.e., the coming of Jesus, the main story that attracts the wide-eyed readers is the story of how God's hand may have been forced to wipe iniquity from the surface of the earth by using the great flood that was detailed in the Book of Genesis. However, where the Book of Genesis leaves out some truly incredible details that could be stuff of fantasy, the Book of Enoch was sure to detail this story that has been omitted from most known iterations of the Bible and many church denominations as well. As the tale goes, following the eviction of Adam and Eve from heaven, mankind still developed despite being released into a life of hardship. Prosperity was the order of the day, and perhaps even more importantly, God was still on their side. In order to maintain their current state, he commissioned a group of angels known as the Watchers to monitor mankind. However, while they were charged with the observation of man, these sons of God, as they are sometimes called, were never to intervene with the activities of the humans. Unfortunately, the Watchers failed to obey this instruction, and this would end up leading to consequences that would change the course of the entire planet. The disobedience came about when Samjaza, the leader of the Watchers, became lustful of the beautiful human women. So they decided to damn the consequences even after Samjaza acknowledged that he might bear the brunt of God's wrath. They went on to mate with the human women, and as a result, they birthed the most unholy of spawns, the violently savage Nephilim, a race of giant monsters that went on to consume everything in sight, and when there was nothing left, they ate the humans as well. As if this wasn't bad enough, these Watchers further corrupted the world by introducing mankind to many things that went against the plan of God. They introduced humans to witchcraft, sorcery, magic, and the cutting up of plants and roots, things God had no intention to introduce to mankind. Furthermore, a watcher named Azazel, who interestingly enough appeared to have no intention to copulate with the human women, went on to introduce other things to the humans that was sure to garner the full wrath of God. He introduced them to weapons and warfare, things that directly unleashed chaos. Furthermore, Azazel also introduced paints, stones, and dyes which undoubtedly added to the corruption of men. As you can imagine, chaos became the order of the day, and the world faced desolation. The children of men cried unto the heavens to beg God for his intervention. Hearing the wails of man, the archangels saw the turmoil that was going on in the world of man and carried this plight to God. Interestingly, their first instinct was to let God know the severity of Azazel's role in the destruction of the world. They also felt that God, being the all-knowing being that he is, should have foreseen these events and could have prevented such a thing from ever happening, showing a new dynamic that may have never been seen in other chapters or books in the Bible, and that the angels weren't always privy to God's plan, just like the humans. That being said, the events were too raw for God to take, and as such, his legendary wrath was released. The first thing he did was to instruct Archangel Uriel, whose name means God is my flame, and was known to stand at the gates of Eden with a fiery sword, to go straight to Noah, the son of Lamech, and the great-grandson of the scribe Enoch, and warn him about what is to come. He instructed Uriel to inform Noah to hide until such an event occurred, and then he was to prepare for what is to come. As Uriel went on his way, God turned his attention to Archangel Raphael, whose name translates to God has healed. However, Raphael's mission was not necessarily to heal, but to capture the nefarious watcher Azazel. God instructed Raphael to capture this fallen angel who planned to corrupt and destroy the children of men with the devious things he introduced them to. This is especially damning as Azazel's actions weren't out of lust, but were considered to be out of the malice to the children of men. Raphael was to cast and bind Azazel, who was to be thrown into the desert of Judea, which was located in the east of Jerusalem, where he was damned to spend the rest of eternity in the dark pits under the sharp stones that will contain him. After delivering the judgment of Azazel to Raphael, he turned to Archangel Gabriel, who was primed to carry out God's will, which is apt as he is known to be one of the archangels that announce the will of God to men, as he is seen as the strength of God. His mission was simple: destroy the bastard sons of the Watchers. However, many have raised eyebrows as to the methods used by Gabriel to rid the world of the Nephilim scourge. Rather than shower the full depth of his might as the warrior angel that he's known as, Gabriel was to use these savage beasts' confusion to force them to descend upon themselves, thereby watching as they killed themselves off until none remained. Finally, God turned to Archangel Michael, the chief of all angels and archangels in heaven, and is often seen to be on the right side of God. His mission seemed simple enough: deliver the news to the Watchers that they were pretty much damned till the end of time. His mission was to inform Samyaza, the leader of this dissident crew of angels, that they and their children would be damned for all eternity. In fact, these bastard children would be slain for over 70 generations. The Watchers will watch as this happens, and after the death of their offspring, be it their angelic sons or the savage Nephilim, they will be locked up down in the fiery depths of hell, while they will be held in captivity till the end of time. Following these commands, it is said that God was satisfied with his judgment. Of course, of those who were still righteous that remain on earth, it appears that they might be spared while the world be filled with blessings and abundance. In conclusion, the anger of God against those who disobeyed him would be enormous and total in nature, and with his archangels, this judgment would not only be swift, but it would be immediate. Although this is only one of the few times archangels can be seen waging war against other spirits, the will of God was able to prevail through their hands. So what do you think about God's punishment of those who disobeyed? Please let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can be notified about our next videos. Trust me, you don't want to miss any of that.